Maraho Amakuru, and welcome to our Rwanda 2025 webinar. I'm so thrilled to have you here. I've got some wonderful guests that will be joining me to talk about this trip. And I'd like to start with a story of my first trip to Rwanda in 2005. I went with World Vision and we visited a child-headed household. Now, in Rwanda, there are no orphanages to speak of. And after the genocide against Tutsi in 1994, many children were left without homes. Many families took in their neighbors, but there were tens of thousands of children who raised themselves. And there was this young girl who raised her siblings, and World Vision had built a house for her. This is the picture of them. And we went to visit them. And they were so grateful to World Vision. They now had a wall with cement. They had a house with cement walls and a cement floor, windows, and they invited us in for a meal. Now, you know how meals work. You get invited in, everybody gets a plate. There were no plates. All they had was forks. And this is the menu that was served to us. And as we all sat around this plate in gratefulness and thanks, I was so moved and I thought, what is possible? And this began my journey in Rwanda. So I have a question for you. Have you ever dreamed of a place that could change your life? That's what Rwanda is for me and for many visitors that go. And today we're going to tell you why Rwanda should be the next must-see destination in your life. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to ask you to spend this hour with us and learn about Rwanda, learn the stories, the people, and meet two of my favorite people in the world who will be accompanying me as guest hosts, Adaranka and Sarah. And they'll be on the screen in a hot minute here. 1, 2. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello, Adaranka. Hello, Sarah. Oh, I got to get in screen there. Let me move over a little bit. There you go. Now we're all there. Well, welcome to both of you. I'd like to start with you, Adaranka, because you're right in the middle. Would you introduce yourself and tell us why you're going on this journey?
Absolutely. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Adaranka Badamosi Wilson. I actually live in Bermuda, which is a tiny island in the North Atlantic, not too far from the U.S. And so it's 5 o'clock in the evening here in Bermuda. And the work that I do is varied. One of them is I'm a consultant. I'm a management consultant. I work for organizations. I'm also a photographer. And Vicki and I met probably about 2 years ago. And during our many conversations over that time, she's told me about the work that she has done in Rwanda. And it wasn't until last year, October, when we actually met in person at a conference in Ohio. And again, we talked about Rwanda and what was going to happen on this next visit. And I said to her, without hesitation, I am going with you. And from then, we looked at a way to make that happen. And I'm a world traveler. I've been to many African countries. I've traveled throughout Southeast Asia. I've traveled throughout Europe and the United States. And so I am truly honored to be part of this, what is going to be an amazing adventure. And we look forward to welcoming you.
Thank you so much, Adaranka. And I'll be calling on you later to talk a little more. But now I would like to introduce another one of my favorite people in the world, someone I call Sister Madugadu, and that is Sarah Neely, who is also a host for this trip. Sarah, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for inviting me. Good afternoon, everyone. As Vicki said, I'm Sarah Neely, and I reside in Florida. So we're spread across the United States and across into the Atlantic to Adaranka. And I met Vicki about 20 years ago when I was living in London at the time and saw her blog on the internet about a trip to Rwanda. And I said, I want to go on the next trip. And she said, that's fantastic, but we don't have one scheduled. Then a few more emails later, she pointed out that she was going, but it wasn't going to be a trip like we're doing now. It was going to be a working trip. And I jumped in and haven't looked back, and got to Rwanda and was supposed to stay, I think, 5 days, extended to 7 days, extended to 10 days.
We left together. You went
Yes.
to London, I came back to the US.
And I think that all of you who join us will understand why I just couldn't get back on the plane to come back
Yeah, it's
and I'm looking forward to all of you having that same experience of just not wanting to go home.
And you're also a world traveler. How many countries have you been to,
Yes.
Sarah?
Over 54 countries on every continent except Antarctica. And
Yeah, the whole Antarctica thing really interests me, but it's so dang cold. That's the only thing. Well, thank you both for being here. I could lead this tour by myself, but what I really wanted was a curated experience and a lot of support for our guests. Because if you've not traveled internationally, or if you have, you know how tours can be. You feel like you don't know what's going on, and that we are going to, I wouldn't say over communicate, but we will communicate every single day. You will get a daily agenda slipped under your door early. Maybe, Sarah, you're the youngest among us. Maybe you could do the slipping. I don't know. I'm kind of sleeping in a little bit, but we'll see. But we have a wonderful trip planned, and I'm going to tell you the actual itinerary of every single day. And if you stay tuned through the end, I have a special discount. Last week I was in Chicago speaking at the Purdue Women's Foundation, and my secret code has something to do with that. So you could all guess, but if you want to actually get the discount, stay tuned. So I want to thank you both for being here. I'm going to put you off screen for a little bit while I go back to the presentation. And I want to tell you about the beauty of Rwanda and how I got there. I actually did a fundraiser for World Vision in 2005. That's when I learned about the genocide. And I frankly missed it in 1994. I was on call 24 hours a day. There are no excuses, but I missed a genocide where 1 million people died in 100 days. And I was not alone. Actually, Oprah said the same thing. She missed it. But when you learn about a place and you understand it, you are compelled to go. And I was asked by a friend who was volunteering with World Vision to go. He said, Vicki, they will like you very much. They are strong women just like you, and you need to go. So I agreed. And before I went, I decided to raise money for World Vision. And I had an event in Portland, and I invited 200 of my closest female friends. And it was not a rubber chicken dinner. It was a seminar. It was a learning. And we talked about the stories of Rwanda, and we did have a little dessert bar in the middle of it. But it was all about educating. And I thought, as an educated woman, if I missed the genocide, other women did too. And the evening was powerful. We had the Women of Rwanda dance. A woman who lost 100 people in 100 days spoke in Kinyarwanda, and it was translated, and you could have heard a pin drop. The stories we heard, the people we met, all culminated in an evening where at the end of the evening, my husband had placed a brick under each chair. And I asked each woman to pick up her brick. And as they held the brick, I said, this brick represents the weight of a malnourished child that cannot be comforted. This brick is the burden that a woman carries down a path as she struggles to find a way to feed her family. And this brick is the color of the soil that a woman saw when she was being violated face down in the dirt. But this brick represents hope. And take home this brick and remember the people you've met and the stories you've heard. And much to my husband's delight, every woman took home their brick. When I went to Rwanda in July of 2005, everywhere I went, I saw bricks. It was amazing. This is John Paul Samputu, who is an international musician. I hope he'll be there when we're there. Phenomenal guy who lost many relatives, and he sings about healing and peace. And when I came home, 2 women who'd come to the seminar said, Vicki, we need to do more. can we start an organization? And as an old accountant, I said, yeah, I know how to start organizations. And we started a foundation, and I didn't know what to call it, but I thought about this brick. And I called a friend from Rwanda. I said, what is the Kinyarwanda word for brick? And he said, Itafari. I said, well, marketing is over. We are now the Itafari Foundation. And in that moment, we began a journey with Rwanda. I have personally been to Rwanda 13 times. And in that, I have grown in my experience, in my awareness of what is possible. There is not an adversity I face that I do not remember the women of Rwanda and what they have been through and how they have come through victorious. If you're afraid that it's a very sad place, whenever I say I go to Rwanda, people go, oh, Rwanda, that's so sad. I go, no. And Sarah can attest to this. They are some of the most joyful people in the world because they have overcome a terrible, terrible incident in their history and are determined not to be defined by the genocide, but by their strength and resilience. And they truly are. It's an amazing place. And it's one where I go back to mentally and physically whenever I can. This idea of this trip is not to just visit people, but actually get engaged and learn about them and meet them. And you, like me, could make some friends that you will have for a lifetime. So on this webinar, I know what I'm doing here. On the webinar, we're going to talk about this trip and what it means. And I'm going to give you a day-by-day breakdown of the trip. And then as we go through the days, I'm going to ask Sarah and Adoranka to participate. So let's start, James. I think it's time for the video.
Rwanda isn't just a place to visit. It's a home that welcomes you with open arms. And for 12 unforgettable days, you'll do more than see this incredible country. You'll experience it as a guest, walking with respect, listening with intention, and leaving transformed. Your journey begins in Kigali, where you'll land in a city known for its beauty, innovation, and resilience. The next day, you'll explore its vibrant streets, learning the stories that shape Rwanda's present and future. On day 3, you'll dive into a conversation about financial freedom across the continent, an opportunity to see how Rwanda is leading the way in economic empowerment. The next 2 days take you deeper into the heart of the community, visiting Education for All in Kigali Parent School, where young minds are shaping the future. Then on day 6, you'll experience Rwanda's rich coffee culture with a visit to Matriarch Coffee Company, where every cup tells a story of empowerment and craftsmanship. Next, it's time to connect with Rwanda's breathtaking natural beauty. Days 7 and 8 take you to Mantis Akagera Game Lodge, where you'll witness majestic wildlife, golden savannas, and the serenity of Akagera National Park. Returning to Kigali, Day 9 introduces you to Gahaya Links, a company empowering women through the art of weaving, each handmade piece carrying the spirit of Rwanda's resilience. Then on Day 10, you'll immerse yourself in the music and culture of Rwanda, feeling the rhythm and soul of a nation that celebrates life through art. As your journey nears its end, Day 11 is a moment to reflect, to say farewell, not just to Rwanda, but to the people and experiences that have become a part of you. And on Day 12, you'll carry those memories home, not as a tourist, but as someone who walked gently, listened deeply, and truly experienced the heart of Rwanda.
Can I just say, every time I watch that video, I get excited all over again. Even though I've been there so many times, and I was recently there in March, the country is phenomenal in its regrowth. Now, after a genocide, a country could just sit down and give up, but Rwanda did not do that. And what they found was that they wanted to become the technology capital of Africa. The entire country is fiber optic. It's called the land of 1,000 hills. And they say it is so beautiful in Rwanda that during the day, God works in the world, and at night, he comes home to sleep in the hills of Rwanda. So this is our tour. Now, that order that you just saw in the video, it might change a little bit, but we're going to do all that and even more. So this is the tour. And on the first day you land, we're going to stay in a hotel called Heaven. Yes, it's actually called Heaven. And I just found out Prince Charles stayed here. So it's nice. And I asked why he chose here, because it's not a 5-star hotel. And he stayed because he could take over the entire complex for security. But it's a beautiful hotel located in Kigali, and it's got all the amenities we need. Now, I know some of you are more campers than I am. This looks like camping to me. Kidding, doesn't look like camping. But I want to be comfortable. I want clean water, safe, mosquito-free, and air conditioning. Yeah, that's me. But I also want it for you. And so this is where we'll be staying in Kigali, right in the middle of the city. We'll have some days where we have downtime and you could just rest and relax. Wi-Fi. So if you must get online, you can get online. And in this hotel, it's located near other things that we can do, but it's a beautiful hotel. And this is my choice for our trip. I don't stay in 5-star hotels because I don't like that idea of the other. It's us and them. I want to stay with people who are staying in the hotels. You will see Rwandans in this hotel. You will see nationals. And again, not 5-star, but I'm not here to take away from the experience by removing myself. I'm here to embrace the country of Rwanda. And I'd like to call Adaranka back on to talk a little bit about some of the work you're going to do, Adaranka, on this trip.
Thank you, Vicki. When I did my introduction, I mentioned that I'm a business owner and a founder of my company, A.B. Wilson Consulting. I'm also a photographer, and my work can be found at abwilsonphotography.com. And so one of the things that I will do is help people to really capture some great images. And I always say, if you don't have a camera, do not go out and buy one. This is not a trip of a lifetime is not the best time to buy a camera and try it out. So if you only have a phone, bring your phone with you. Bring it, and we will work together to make sure you get some really outstanding images with your phone. One of the things that isn't mentioned in the video, but that we will do, and as Vicki said, all things are optional. You don't have to do absolutely everything. But those who are interested, we will create a photography tour. Now, how is a photography tour different from a regular tour? When you're out taking pictures, you tend to spend a little bit more time in a location than you would on a regular tour. So the photography tour will be about capturing some really amazing images with whatever device you have, whether it's a camera, whether it's a phone, whatever you bring to take pictures, we will get some really incredible images. In addition to that, there was mention of a visit to the Genocide Memorial. And we will do a debrief after that visit. And while I haven't been to Rwanda, I do recognize, Vicki and I do recognize that people may want to just talk and have a moment maybe of reflection about that visit. Visits to memorials like this tend to be extremely emotional, and we want to give those that go an opportunity to process if need be, but if nothing else, to talk and address any feelings that came up. And so with that, we're also going to be able to, while we're on the safari, take some...
Oh, no. Don't talk about that yet. Hold off. We'll get to that.
Okay. I'll stop right there.
I don't want you to go any further because
Okay.
I want to bring you back to talk about that when we do it.
Okay.
Thank you. So as Adaranka said, on the first day, we're going to go to a genocide memorial. Now, why do we start there? If we forget the past, we are bound to repeat it. Now, we know there are genocides and Holocausts worldwide. This is a very beautiful, thoughtful memorial where you will see what happened, the rich history of Rwanda before the colonies, before the colonists came in from Europe. And you'll understand the people. It is so important to understand through their eyes what happened. And they, of course, will never forget April 7th, 1994. April 7th. No. Yeah, that's right. Sorry. They will never forget that day and what started as a horrible thing and lasted 100 days. And in this time frame, they went through a terrible situation and came through battered and bruised, but stronger. You will have a chance to meet women who have been through this, and we will witness their stories. We are not there to judge. We are not there to say, oh, that happened to me too, but to understand who they are and what it means. And this is the first day. It doesn't see, we're not there all day. We're also doing a city tour. I like city tours because it gives you an idea of the lay of the land. So it's a lovely city tour on a city bus. And then we'll go to the museum, and then we'll take it easy. And like Adoranka said, we can debrief. If you just want to do it on your own, you're welcome to. If you don't need to do it, that's fine too. But this is important to set the tone. And all it will do, I promise you, is make you understand what is possible when you come through adversity so gloriously and so powerfully. So that is the first day. The second day, we're going to talk about education. The man on the left is Joseph Nsenyimana. He is the Minister of Education for Rwanda and a dear friend of mine. He used to live in Portland, Oregon. And we are going to have him come and talk about the power of education. In Rwanda, we know that education is the key to ending poverty. And isn't it worldwide? But Joseph will come and talk about what Rwanda is doing to come back. The picture on the right is Kigali Parent Secondary School. And that is the high school we built, Itafari built. Itafari was in existence from 2005 to 2016, and we built a high school, and this is it. And the children that I met there, I met year after year. I have met kids who have graduated from this school. I'll meet them in the weirdest places in the United States, and they'll say, Mama Itafari. They'll say, I went to Harvard. So it's not only that they stay within the country and then they go back to serve their country. For instance, Joseph here was part of Intel, and he was a senior executive. And when he retired, he went back to Rwanda, worked for the MasterCard Foundation, and then was chosen by the president to come and speak. And I want you to know that all the people that come and speak to us are not paid. They are doing this to share their wisdom and their knowledge and help us understand what is possible. At the high school, we're going to go to the primary school, which is you saw those little kids with the stripe? That's Kigali Parent School. I actually have 2 of those uniforms, which I use for fundraisers. And those little kids are so bright and so smart. And we'll have a chance to go into the classroom and even teach them. And good luck, because they are smart as whips. They will ask you great questions, and it will help you to really understand what's going on. Sarah, can you come on stage for a minute? Sarah, did you go to Kigali Parent School when we were there teaching?
Yes.
Tell me what you did.
So I was in a room actually with another teacher. So I was not attempting to teach anything, but I was observing. And as you said, these children were smarter than we ever were giving them credit for. And I remember we were singing songs and doing activities. But my favorite part was after we were done was coming back out and listening to your husband, John, tell the story of how he had to give some sort of like thermodynamics or some sort of word that I had never heard of that related to building planes to elementary school children.
6th graders.
It's just, it's amazing.
They really were. And it gives you such joy and this school, so they have a national, like many European systems, they have a national test every year. Kigali Parent School has a #1 student every single year. I stumbled on this school I met someone from Portland, Oregon, who was a co-founder. He asked me to get involved, so it's our honor to be part of Kigali Parents Secondary School. We also sold bricks, and people could put their names on them. And I plan, if I get my act together, to take all the nameplates and we'll put them up on a board at Kigali Parents School, because we gave tens of thousands of dollars to build this school, and we're so proud. So we'll do it again, Sarah. We may throw you into a higher grade, and you can teach them about.
Maybe they should just be teaching me, probably.
Yeah, but possibly you could teach them about all the work you do. You can talk a little. It's kind of off subject, but I'm okay. We're okay on time. Can you talk a little bit about the work we did at the Child Rehabilitation Camp for Child Soldiers?
Sure. So on my first trip, we got to go out into the country and meet some of the children who had been part of the military and were now being rehabilitated. And we got to go there. Many of them had never, seen outsiders from, even from in their little area of Rwanda where they were living. And so we got to teach them fun things like about safety before eating and preparing food and washing your hands and those sorts of things. And they're just absolutely amazed. And we did all of this through translation because many of them did not speak English, but it didn't seem to stop us. And we had an absolute blast making meatballs and spaghetti over a fire, which I'm pretty sure Vicki and I had never experienced before.
Remember I said I don't do that camping thing? We had this huge pot. And the camp, I don't know if you remember the camp cook. He was a grizzled old guy. And he's given us the stink eye because we just take over. And we had 6 kids with us who were like volunteering. And we got the spaghetti and the meat sauce made. And then I had to make spaghetti. And we had like 20 pounds of spaghetti. We had 60 kids. Well, 20 pounds of spaghetti in hot water takes a while. It turned into a starchy mess. We made it through. But I used all the firewood in the campsite. I used all the wet firewood. And news to me, wet firewood burns black smoke.
Yes.
And this one kid, because I'm a cook, and I always say stir from the bottom because I didn't want the sauce to burn. This one kid stayed in the middle of the fire the whole time, wouldn't let anybody else help him. And it was an amazing experience that we had. And
it was
Sarah,
like an oar for a boat, like that sort of big.
And then when it was over, they had this huge pot and they wanted to carry it on their shoulders. And I go, no, you're not carrying it on your shoulders. And we went and fed the kids, and our boys helped serve because they were ages 7 to 15. These are child soldiers. These are children who have been so traumatized, and yet they were so happy. And they got every kid would walk up with a plate, and then they'd get spaghetti and meat sauce and orange drinks and bread. They don't do a lot of bread in Rwanda, but we had bread for them because, and then they sat down. I saw some kids eating with their hands. And I said to the camp director, I said, can't they have a fork? And he said, well, when they come to camp, they get a fork and a plate. And they've never seen a fork before. So they threw it away. If they throw away the fork, they don't get another fork. So, okay, enjoy your spaghetti with your hands. And and they were pretty shy, you know how kids are. After we left, the camp director called me that evening, and they had lots of sauce left over. And they poured them over the beans and rice, which they have twice a day. And he said the kids were so happy. They were dancing and singing. And one of the boys said to us, I want to be a cook. And, Sarah is a scientist, and she was an American scientist living in London at the time and working on infectious diseases. And she taught them about not just cleanliness, but the importance of all that. And not only did it change, I actually, in my thesis, I used that story throughout my thesis because it was so powerful to me. What is possible when children see there is more to them than just their history. So thanks for the extra story there. Okay, let's keep going here. I don't want to run out of time. Let's see, where are my slides? There we go. Okay, so the next day, we are going to visit a local cooperative called Education for All. Now, this is a cooperative. In the picture on the right, this is taken in March when I was there. The man standing to I'm the white person in the photo in case you can't pick me out there. But the person to my left, Christoph, is the country director, who was country director for Itafari. And then he became country director for Education for All, which is a women's cooperative. And part of your trip price is going to a donation to this organization. The picture on the left was the latest graduating class of women who became seamstresses, and now they all got their own sewing machines. So we as a group are giving a donation. We're going to go to a graduation. This lovely dress I have on was made for me by the women. They were so excited to make it. And Christoph, who unfortunately is not here today, which he usually is, but he couldn't make it, is going to have every single person have a dress made specific, or a shirt if it's a man, made specifically for them. So we'll get an idea of what a cooperative looks like and how you lift people out of poverty by giving them skills that they need. Many of these young women, even though education is guaranteed to 9th grade and then through 12th, they don't go to school because they're too poor. But they do come and they go through this program and they learn so much. It changes their life and changes their future. The next day is Sunday, and it is a day of rest, and you're going to need it by Sunday. So here's the idea. We're gonna schedule a brunch in the morning. And by the way, for your trip, your price includes all food, all travel expenses, not travel expenses, all visa to get in the country, all tickets to get into events, the hotel. Thank you, Sarah. The hotel and everything you need. You can buy anything you want, but we're going to have a brunch on Sunday. And if you're so inclined, you can go to church. There are many, many churches in Rwanda, which speaks to the power of faith in the midst of loss. So if you want to go to a church that's rocking and rolling, we will get you to a church of your denomination or non-denominational, whatever makes you happy. Or you can sit by that nice pool at the Heaven Hotel. Heaven's a good name on a Sunday for a church. And of course, it also has, we have Jewish faith we can take care of. We can do Muslim, or again, whatever you like. So we will work. That's part of our job as the hosts, to make sure that you get what you need out of this trip. And it's a good experience. Sarah and I have been to church many, many times. Just warning you, it's not an in and out in an hour. You're going to be there for a few hours, but it's worth it every time. Then on Monday, we're going to talk about financial inclusion in the world. Now, I work with people in United Nations that are working on bringing digital inclusion to be able to have your phone and be paid. A cashless system is so much better than a cash-based system for corruption and getting paid. Can you imagine a woman works in a tea field, and then after it's done, she has to walk 5 or 6 kilometers to go get paid cash? No more. And Rwanda is a leading producer of financial inclusion. And we're going to have someone come and talk to us about what this looks like, not only in Rwanda, but on the continent. You will be so inspired by the work people are doing to include everyone, so that if a woman is selling potatoes on the side of the road, you can pay with your phone. And I have done it, so I know it's possible. The picture on the right is my dearest sister, Joy Dengutse, and she started an organization called Gahaya Links. Gahaya is her grandfather's name. And it was a cooperative that started with 6 women weaving baskets under a tree in 1995. She went back. Many of the diaspora came back to Rwanda after the genocide, because she was living in Washington, D.C. at the time. She came back. She started with 6 women under a tree. There are now 4,000 women that weave baskets for a lasting peace. And this is an example of one of the baskets. You will have the opportunity to buy a basket, and you'll also have the opportunity to weave a basket. And Sarah, look at that smile. You want to talk about, these are some of the, these are some of the products you can buy, and there's more. I was just there in March, and beautiful products, including jewelry. This necklace is made in Rwanda. So you can buy jewelry, baskets, all kinds of items. And I have taken I took one bowl that was given to me as a gift. It actually got a seat next to me on the plane with a seatbelt. So don't let anything stop you from getting what you want. But Sarah, could you explain this picture?
Sure. So as Vicky said, you'll get a chance, if you so wish, to make a basket. And what that white arrow is pointing to is my basket after 2 hours. And the average person after 2 hours in Rwanda has a basket like the one Vicky just showed you. And 2 hours in, I had that amazing basket that could hold a quarter. And I can tell you that it is not easy work. But it was, as you can see, I was smiling in the photo after 2 hours still. It's just so interesting to see how they do it and how it all works together, and the amount of dedication and love that goes into this process.
They are weaving a lasting piece for their country. And Joyce says she's going to bring some weavers in from the countryside to work with us. So again, optional, you can just shop for the whole time, but some of us are going to put the cheeks on the floor and work on a basket. I'm going to do it again because my basket was as big as yours. And I always say, so we sell baskets for Itafari. This is a smaller one, but the bigger ones are like $45. And I would hold up my basket and say, you can all buy this one for $10,000 because this sucker is priceless to me. So that's the next day. We're going to talk about financial inclusion and visit Gaia Links. Then we're going to go out to the countryside and go see Matriarch Coffee Company or another coffee plantation. I'm not so sure because I want to go also to Virunga Mountain Spirits, which is not in that early video, which is a vodka making organization. You know, when you think about what is possible, don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself by, I don't know how to do that. They don't know how to do any of this, and they have figured it all out. So we'll go to the coffee company, we'll go to Virunga Mountain Spirits, and there's a great restaurant at the vodka place. We can have a really beautiful lunch out in the country, and you will get to see some of the country. And then we're going to go to the Center for Global Health Equity and the Ellen DeGeneres campus of the Diane Fossey Gorilla Fund. And James, will you run the video for Global Health Equity?
UJG provide education for quality service delivery in Rwanda for Rwandan and others. So we are a global institution to educate global young cadre that will be leaders to create health systems across the world with the philosophy of quality care in remote area, focused on access for the vulnerable. Our students will have state-of-the-art education in clinical practice, plus strategic thinking and social determinant knowledge to make sure that the patient they will have the most of the clinical service they will give.
Our students need to understand the science, the biology, the medications, but at the same time, the understanding of what it takes at the community level to craft these and tailor these according to the community.
Whether you call it social medicine or One Health, or look at community interactions or how health and social justice come to be, we don't think it should be an option not to understand these other questions.
We are oriented such that our students are patient-focused, they are community-oriented, and they are globally aware. And we cannot train quality health professionals without a hospital where our patients go to.
Students will be coming to the hospital, so we want to give them a high standard experience where they will get any diagnostic capacity that they need to learn from, where they will get a sense of the comprehensive care of patients from medical, surgery, psychological, intensive care, and so forth. So there is that urgency for us to make sure that we upgrade services in Butaro by adding on ICU services, radiotherapy, and the oncology service, not only for the districts, but for the national level.
So we have, for me, 3 universities. A university with walls in the form of UGHE, We have a university with patients, which is Butaro Hospital. Then we have a university without walls, which is the community. The three of them are very important.
So Paul Farmer that you saw in that picture was one of my professors at Harvard, and he was passionate about working in Haiti and Rwanda. He tragically died a couple of years ago, unexpectedly, a heart attack. But Paul believed in health equity for all. To have a world-class campus, I cannot tell you how many students at Harvard would take his class on global health equity and then end up in Rwanda to understand what is possible. The woman talked about community partners, and what they realized was that not everybody can get to a hospital, not everybody can do a clinic, but they can have community health workers that actually work in the community and help everyone receive medical care. Then we're also going to go to the Ellen DeGeneres campus of the Diane Fossey Gorilla Fund. Ellen DeGeneres went to Rwanda once and got very excited. She likes gorillas, got really excited and funded this beautiful campus that is near the gorillas. There's an optional trip that you can go and see the gorillas, but we're going to be out in the countryside and we're going to stay out there overnight so that you can experience the country and enjoy that as we go to Akagera Game Park. But this is whether you get to see the gorillas or not, whether you choose to do that optionally, you will learn so much at this facility and really get in contact with your gorilla side, your gorilla spirit animal, let's call it that. And then we're going to do something cultural the next day. I really want to embrace, like I said, I don't know if Jean-Paul Samputu will be there. He said he will, but we'll see. We're going to have a cultural experience out in the countryside where you can buy fabrics and watch the dancers and the singers. And it's such a beautiful country. And as most people are, they bring their joy and their spirit to their dance and their music. And so I know you'll really enjoy that. And then we head to Akagera Game Park. So James, could you run that video, please? So now, Adoranka, can you come back on stage and talk a little bit about what you want to do?
Yeah, absolutely. So part of our experience is making sure that you capture what we see at the game park. And of course, respectful to the animals, the environment, and making sure that we stay well within the guidelines of the guides who will be on the tour with us. But we will work to capture some amazing images that you can share on social media, share with your family, your friends, even if it's just sending around to your online groups. That is the work that we will do to make sure that you're able to really, first of all, experience the space and be respectful of all of our environment, but then to be able to capture it. And I will also work to make sure that there are images of you in the pictures as well. Many times we're so busy taking pictures of what's around us, we don't often get, other than selfies, we don't get opportunities to have pictures of ourselves taking in this environment. So we're going to work hard to make sure you get those kind of images as well.
Yeah. So we are in the cage, not the animals.
Yes.
And yet when it's safe, they let you out to walk. So y'all have seen giraffes in zoos. You don't know a giraffe until you're walking towards it. And it's just looking at you and you're looking at it and you respectfully approach it. You don't get that close, believe me, but you are closer than you've ever been. And what happened to me the first time I went to Rwanda, I was coming back through Nairobi. I had a 14-hour layover. So we got to go out to the Nairobi State Park, which was a game park right outside of Nairobi, and did an 8-hour trip like this through the reserve. I had no idea how many animals actually migrate.
Mm-hmm.
The reason they walk back and forth in a cage is because they want to keep moving. So I was so taken by this. And unless a grandchild really, really wants to go to a zoo, I am not zoo material anymore. Because seeing these animals out in the wild is so powerful. You'll see lions, you'll see monkeys, you'll see giraffes, zebras, every kind of animal, hippos, and it's a powerful experience and safe as well, because it's really important that we're safe. So that is the day. We're staying there 2 nights just because I want to slow it down a little bit. This is a lot. I could do like a 20-day trip for you, but I'm only doing 10. But I want you to really enjoy it. And then we head back to Kigali for our final night, where we'll have a celebratory dinner with many of the people that hosted us. And we'll do our donation to Education for All. I've already given a donation for the people that have signed up and paid. So that's it. And then we return to go home. And if you're interested, you can go and see the gorillas. And the gorillas are a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Sarah, can you come back on screen and talk about your gorilla experience?
Sure. So you can see in this picture that you end up extremely close to a gorilla, but in a safe way. You can't see, but right behind me is one of the guides watching the gorillas at all times to make sure that they're, not making any sort of movements that would, I would make them nervous. But this tour is, I will not lie, it can be very intense. They have, I think it's 3 groups, like a beginner, mild walking, a medium, and then an extreme. And I think I chose the medium because I thought that I was pretty in shape, until you start walking straight up a mountain in Rwanda. It's nothing like the little hills we have here in Florida. And
wait. There are hills in Florida. Come on, don't lie. There are swamps. They go down, but they don't go up. I've been to whole Florida.
So,
and you also did it when you landed, which I
yes.
do not recommend. Can you talk about that? You landed on a plane, you went to the mountain, and the next morning you hiked.
Yes. So you actually drive up and stay at a hotel very close by, and then you wake up extremely early in the morning, which is why Vicky is pointing this out, that we do not recommend that you do this on your land-in day, because you're tired from traveling, you're jet lagged. It's possibly the worst time you could do it. But it is extremely worth the trip, though it is not included in the price. But Vicky has some, connections, and make sure that we're getting the best price possible for the in-country. And a little funny side note, since we have a few extra seconds, I think, Vicky went on a trip after me, and I told her how wonderful it was and how we hiked for 2 or 3 hours, and we were sort of thinking we were never going to get there, and we hiked for another hour, and finally we found the gorillas. And what I learned after the fact is that the guides actually go up early in the morning, so they sort of know where the gorillas are. Of course, they're constantly moving, but they have an idea of where they are on the mountain. And they come back down and get you and lead you up to them, which is how you're guaranteed to see them. So Vicky got on her trip and walked, what was it, like
15 minutes. I didn't even get to the stinging nettles. They warn you about the stinging nettles, like wear long pants or stinging nettles. I was so afraid of the stinging nettles. And all of a sudden we heard these grunts, and we thought it was the guides because they would grunt for us and tell us what to expect. And we heard the grunts, and they said, we found the gorilla family and we've never found it. We were still in the bamboo. And when they eat bamboo, they get drunk and they get silly, just like kids. And this little baby gorilla, there were twins. I was with my best friend from Purdue, and we were standing there and we were looking at the gorillas, and all of a sudden she hit my leg, and I looked down. It was not her. It was this little baby gorilla came running by like a little kid, and it had run away from its mother, and it was just teasing, and it was just playing. What an adventure. I'm really sorry you were 4 hours. I was well rested on 15 minutes. And then you get a lunch, and we were back before lunch. You also get a guide. So if you're not sure on your footing, you get someone to be right next to you. They help you over rocks. We ended up giving our food to our guides because we were done. And then
I ate all of my food.
Was it any good?
It was. And I remember at times holding the guide's hand thinking like, I'm not sure I can do this as they're pulling me up over a rock. But then once I got to see the gorillas, all of my energy comes streaming back to me. And it was, as you can see in my face, I don't look exhausted. It doesn't look like I've been thinking for 4 hours.
Picture, and this is our friend Arthur in the front.
Yes.
I met Arthur in 2005, and he was my interpreter, and he became like a son to me. We adore Arthur.
Yes.
And so, yeah, those are some of the gorillas, and you see a whole family, and you take pictures, and the guides, and there are guards and guides, and it's magical. I highly recommend it. Speaking of cost, so it's $1,500 for the pass. That's set by the government. There's no negotiating that. But I have seen these trips to go see the gorillas for like $5,000, and I go, what are you doing? So here's what you pay if you go with us. I'll arrange your ticket, and then you stay at a hotel. And because we're out in the countryside, I don't think we're going to have all the transportation. We may stay in the next morning and wait for you to come back, and then we'll all drive back to Kigali together. And then that final day in Kigali and rest and celebration. So, yeah, I love this picture of you, Sarah. It's great.
And it is totally a worth it trip, even if you have to do the 4 hours.
Yeah, well, good on you. But 15-minute gal right here. I can't stop bragging about that even after all these years. And my girlfriend, Julie, was the same way. She's like, are we there yet? Because that's what you start saying. But yeah, I've heard people hike 7 or 8 hours, and you only stay with the gorillas for 1 hour. You keep your distance because they don't want them to get sick. And then you head back down. It's well worth it if you're interested. So, so that is our trip. Now let me talk about costs. The cost of this trip is for one person, $6,125. That includes everything. And you can go ahead and, my friend Julie, who is going on this trip as well, not going to see the girls again. She was headed to Europe, and she was headed to Africa, and she was paying $30,000. I said, come to Rwanda with me. I can get you in for $6,100. Plus, if you sign up by tomorrow at midnight, I have an additional coupon code for $250, and the secret code is Boiler Up, one word, all caps, for all my Purdue sisters who are watching this. But that code will only be valid until midnight tomorrow night. Double occupancy is $57.50. So it's less. And if you book with another friend, that's how you do it. Because if we have some people who are doing double occupancy, they need to kind of bring a friend to make that work. So you get $100 off if you book by the 30th of June, an extra $250 off if you book by tomorrow night. Now, I want to talk about how I do this. I am not doing this to make a lot of money. I am doing this to have people engage, experience, and embrace the country of Rwanda, to change their life, to be empowered to know what is possible for you and to be inspired by what is possible for others. If you sign up, you can make $1,000 deposit, fully refundable by August 15th. Now, if you look at other trips, they get kind of squirrely, but by August 15th, you have to pay the full amount, less the discounts that you get. And if you change your mind before August 15th, you just write to me and say, Vic, I can't go. You get your $1,000 back. The only thing not included in this trip is your airfare. And it's important if you decide to go to book it. So here's my request. Sign up, put $1,000 down, and think about it. If you're not sure, think about it further. On what's the date? Coming up in a week from Saturday, we're going to have a Rwanda ready trip for everyone who's signed up. We have a few more openings, not many, and we're going to have a Rwanda ready trip to talk about all the details so that you know what to do. A friend asked about vaccines. Yes, you need vaccines. We're going to talk about those. And what you want to do is make sure that you have all the information you need to be ready. If you're worried about safety, Rwanda is considered and rated the #1 safest country on the continent. And out of 55 countries, that's not bad. I have felt less safe on the streets of Chicago or Portland, Oregon than I've ever felt in Rwanda. Sarah, have you ever felt unsafe in Rwanda?
I was just going to say the exact same thing. I've been to 54 countries in the world and never felt unsafe in Rwanda.
Yeah. And we're street smart. We travel well. You don't walk around with a purse hanging open, but on the other hand, they have great respect for visitors. They have wonderful security. I don't know if you saw that first video, but the streets are so clean. They have something called Umuganda, which is once a month. And this is where Sister Madugudu's name came from.
Yes.
Once a month, they have a day where the entire country cleans. And then in the Madugudus, which are the local community, so think of your neighborhood, it's called a Madugudu. They all get together for a community dinner. And Sarah loved the word Madugudu. So you'll get a nickname in Rwanda. I am Mama Itafari or Mama Imbogo, depending on who's talking to me. And Sarah is Sister Madugudu. And Adaranka will get a name as well. And if you could bring Adaranka back up on screen too, please. I would like to know, we have 1 minute. Oh, we're bringing this thing home. What are your final thoughts, Adaranka, and then Sarah, and then I'll close.
First of all, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity, Vicki. And I'd like to encourage everybody to really think about joining us on this adventure. It's going to be an opportunity to see a country that perhaps you wouldn't have seen. And even if you've been there, you get to see it through new eyes. And we have a lot of amazing experiences lined up for you. And we look forward to you joining us.
Thank you. Sister Madugudu.
One thing I wanted to add is that, like everybody else is saying, please sign up. And if you have any questions, ask anything and everything. If you've never left your state or you've never left the United States, ask us. We've all traveled extensively. Let us put any of your questions or concerns at ease. Let us help you figure out if this is the right trip for you.
Yeah. And I want to say thank you to you both. I cannot wait. I've traveled with Sarah Adaranka. We've met not somewhere different, but I cannot wait to experience this trip with you and support all our visitors in this amazing experience that will be life-changing. Mm-hmm. So with that, I'd like to thank James, our producer. Mad good job again today, James. I can see him smiling. You guys can't see him. But thank you, James. Thank you, Adaranka. Thank you, Sarah. And with that, please sign up. Like I said, everything's refundable until August 15th when we need to finish it up. And I think I answered your question about vaccines, Denise. We'll you need to get them pretty quick. I mean, like in the next 2 months, just so you don't have any side effects from them. But we want to keep you safe. We want to keep you healthy. And Who doesn't need a new tetanus shot? I mean, come on. Anyway. So with that, we'd like to show you a final video. We'll see you again soon. For those who've already signed up, we'll see you in a couple weeks to bring you up to speed, answer all your questions, give you a pack of information that I don't know if you'll ever get through. It's so big. But I think you will quiet the voice within that says, I don't know. And we want you to go to yes. Thank you all. See you soon. And James, roll it.
We are now in Volcanoes National Park. It's a home of the Big Five. It's very important to conserve and protect the park and keep the nature as it is.
Its conservation story is so inspiring. The biodiversity and habitats change throughout the park.
Oh, see this elephant. It's a little bit of a surprise.
I fell in love in Kigali. It's a very clean city. I think that inspired me to open the business here. Kigali's international events bring a lot of diversity. Everywhere you go, you are welcome. The food scene in Rwanda is amazing. From farm to table in Kigali, people like to enjoy life.
This was my dream since I was a kid. Walking with the gorillas every day. You hear? These are the gorillas breaking the trees. Come. That's the silverback. The people, they are very happy to see the tourists coming. It's a big support to the conservation of these gorillas for the future generation.
Nyungwe is one of our national parks here in Rwanda. For tourists to come here, they participate also in conservation, which also helps us protect the forest.
There is something really magical about the Nyungwe National Forest, and it's unspoilt, it's natural, rare beauty. What makes it extra special establishing a resort here is that we work very closely with the community, and it's a really authentic experience for the guests. We are very lucky. This is our little piece of heaven.
Rwanda is called the land of 1,000 hills. From the east to the west, we are at Lake Kivu. It's one of the largest lakes in Africa. The sky meets the lake. It's a place that everybody should really visit.
Welcome to Rwanda.